Now, relationships are thought to have a 7-year itch, right? Things start getting a little more difficult after 7 years. People get a little antsy and they kind of want to leave each other. Well, a anthropologist by the name of Helen Fisher has been doing research, and she thinks that there's no such thing as a 7-year itch. She thinks that there's a 4-year itch. Okay, so
why is that?
She traces it back to, primitive times when, I don't know, it's hard to explain. When basically women would have children 4 years apart from each other.
Yeah.
So she feels that, after couples have their relationship for 4 years, then they feel...
Yeah, I'm with you. I struggled with it too.
Right.
Because, damn it, Jim, we're a talk show host, we're not scientists, right? But there was something about a gestation period.
Right.
There was something about child rearing, and different animals do it at different cycles. And for other animals, if it's like a 1-year cycle in which the baby is mature, the offspring is mature, then the wolf or whatever it might be will go and find a new mate.
Right.
Okay, and they all go in cycles too. And the cycle naturally for humans is about 4 years.
Right.
Now, one, I've always believed that it was in the 3 to 4 year time period. So this is the most believable story ever for me. Okay.
Right.
Number two, is it related to our nature? Of course it is. What do you think? No, we just coincidentally drink water. No, we're built to drink water. We coincidentally breathe oxygen. No, we're built to breathe oxygen. And we go out with people and break up after 4 years because we're built that way. Okay. Now, of course, it's not every instance, and of course there are other factors involved. It's not as simple as breathing oxygen. There's other biological factors involved. There's jealousy, there's 100 different things. And now we're not purely driven by our genes in that sense, right? So it's more complicated, I grant you that. But I think she's dead right.
Right. Look, I agree. I agree with this study for the most part, but when she gets into, child rearing and all that stuff, she kind of starts to lose me, because whether or not a child has something to do with the relationship, usually romantic love only lasts for 18 to 3 years, right? After that, the guy feels like he doesn't need to spend as much time or give as much attention to the woman. The woman kind of starts feeling lonely or whatever, and then that's when the relationship kind of falls apart. People stop thinking about impressing each other.
Right, but don't you see that
it's comfortable?
But don't you see that that's related to nature?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I partly agree with this study, because it's in our nature to kind of get bored after a while.
Right, and look, of course, your nature doesn't know whether you use contraception or not. It's after you've had sex. It's not after you get pregnant.
Right.
So after the first time that you guys have sex, or you've consummated the relationship, if you will, in a matter of speaking, you're going out with the person, and it doesn't necessarily have to be sex. It's a rough thing. And yeah, Anna, if you say to me, no, it's 18 months, no, it's 3 years, no, it's 4 years, yeah, I'm not saying it's definitely exactly 4 years. It's within that range. And to me, it has everything to do with child rearing. There's no question that the woman needs the man to be around in the human species for a little while to take care of the baby, because they're physically devastated while having the kid. It's a very hard process while being pregnant and afterwards, and they need time to recuperate, and they need someone to get the food for the baby and for themselves. And then that also helps the man, because he's producing offspring, healthy offspring that are going to live, right? And then once they got it to the point where the little kid could run around and pick up his own nuts and fruits, he's gonzo.
Right.
Okay? And that's how it rolls. And funny enough, in my personal life, I've had 3 major relationships. All of them two of them were about 4 to 4.5 years.
Right.
Okay? And then we got to the point where we had to make a decision. And I didn't want to get married, and so those ended. And then the third one, I was like, all right, you win.
You got married.
And I got married. But it was also at that exact 4-year period where the decision had to come.
That's kind of scary, man. My 4-year period is coming soon.
Uh-oh. No. Think about it. Okay.
That's scary.
So, look, our biology does not determine everything. But does it determine some things? Clearly, right? So just the bottom line on it as to how it affects you in your personal life is just keep an eye out for it. Like, especially if you're in a marriage already and you want it to work, then realize that you're going to have these issues pop up in 3 or 4 years, and that you got to find a way to get beyond them. That's all. It doesn't mean you should actually leave. It depends on, of course, on a relationship by relationship basis.
You know what I found amazing about this study? There was one statistic in here that kind of blew me away. 57% of American marriages last for life.
Yeah, you're right. I was blown away by that too. I didn't know it was that high.
I didn't know it was that high either. I thought it was going to be a lot less than that.
Yeah, Americans, nicely done. You know, they're underrating you.
Right, but the study also said that Americans are more likely to leave the relationship as soon as the romantic love is over.
It's because of all the movies.
Right.
Like, you have to be madly in love at all times and it's never going to fade. And then it turns out life isn't really like that. That's strange.